By the time my daughter arrived at the bank that Thursday morning, expecting to walk out with a check for $175,000, she'd find me sitting in the manager's office with a private investigator, a stack of photographs, and a recorded conversation that would make her face go white enough for the teller at window 3 to ask if she needed to sit down. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. My name is Robert Mitchell, and I'm 68 years old. I spent 37 years teaching high school chemistry in Santa Fe, New Mexico, before I retired 5 years ago. My wife Claire passed away 6 months after I hung up my teaching credentials. Breast cancer, stage 4, diagnosed too late. We'd been married for 41 years. She was my best friend, my partner, the person who made me laugh when I took life too seriously. After Claire died, I sold our family home in the suburbs. Too many memories, too many rooms that echoed with her absence. I bought a modest Adobe-style house on the outskirts of town, something small and manageable. 2 bedrooms, a courtyard garden where I could grow tomatoes and peppers, a front porch where I'd sit most evenings with a book and a glass of iced tea, watching the sunset paint the Sangre de Cristo Mountains orange and pink. I lived simply. My pension covered my expenses with room to spare. I volunteered at the library twice a week, played chess with a group of retired teachers every Wednesday, and went hiking in the national forest on weekends when my knees cooperated. It wasn't a glamorous life, but it was mine, and it was peaceful. My daughter Emily was 35, living in Albuquerque with her husband Marcus. They'd been married 7 years. Emily worked in marketing for a mid-sized tech company, good salary, benefits, the kind of stable career Claire and I had hoped she'd find. Marcus, on the other hand, had been through 3 jobs in the past 2 years. Sales positions, mostly. He'd quit the last one 8 months ago, claiming his boss was toxic and he needed time to find himself. I'd always been polite to Marcus, but I never quite warmed to him. There was something about the way he talked too smooth, too many buzzwords. The kind of person who could sell ice to an Eskimo, but couldn't seem to hold down a job, selling actual products to actual customers. Claire had been more diplomatic about it. "Give him time, Robert," she'd say. "Not everyone finds their path right away." Emily called me every few weeks, usually on Sunday afternoons. Our conversations were pleasant, but surface level. She'd tell me about work stress, about a new restaurant they'd tried, about plans to repaint their living room. I'd tell her about my garden, about the book club I'd joined, about the new hiking trail I'd discovered. We'd chat for 20 minutes, promise to see each other soon, and then hang up. It had been like this for years. Not close, but not distant either. Civil, functional, the kind of relationship where you love each other but don't necessarily like spending time together. So, when my phone rang at 7:30 on a Tuesday morning, and I saw Emily's name on the screen, my first thought was that something must be wrong. She never called this early. "Dad?" Her voice was shaking, thick with tears. "Dad, I need your help." I sat up in bed, instantly awake. "Emily? What's wrong? What happened?" "It's Marcus." She was crying now, full-on sobbing. "Dad, he's sick, really sick. We just got back from the hospital and the doctors," they said. She broke down completely, unable to finish the sentence. My heart was pounding. "Take a breath, sweetheart. Tell me what the doctors said." "Stage 4 lymphoma." The words came out in a rush. They said it's aggressive, but there's this experimental treatment program at Johns Hopkins. They've seen really promising results, but insurance won't cover it because it's experimental. And we need $175,000. By next week, if we don't start the treatment immediately, they said he might only have 6 months. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. 6 months, a death sentence. I thought of Claire, of how fast the cancer had taken her, of how helpless I'd felt watching her slip away. "Are you sure?" I asked, my mind racing. "Did you get a second opinion?" "We saw 3 oncologists," Emily said, her voice desperate. "They all said the same thing. This experimental treatment is his only chance, Dad. His only chance at survival. But we don't have that kind of money. We've already maxed out our credit cards, and the bank won't approve a loan because Marcus isn't working, and I can't. I don't know what to do." My hands were shaking. $175,000. It was essentially everything I had: my retirement savings, the equity in my house, the nest egg Claire and I had built over decades of careful budgeting and planning. Dad? Emily's voice was small, fragile. I know it's a lot to ask. I know it's everything you have. But he's my husband. I love him. I can't just watch him die when there's a chance to save him. Please, Dad. Please. I closed my eyes. Let me think about it. I need to look at my finances, talk to my financial advisor. There's no time, she said urgently. They need an answer by Friday. The treatment slots fill up fast, and if we don't commit now, we'll lose our spot. Emily, this is my entire retirement savings. I can't make a decision like this in 3 days without thinking it through. I understand, she said, but I could hear the disappointment in her voice. I thought you'd want to save your son-in-law's life. I thought family mattered to you. That stung. Of course, family matters to me, but this is a massive decision. Give me until Thursday. I'll call you Thursday morning with an answer. Okay. She was crying again. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for even considering it. Marcus is so scared. We're both so scared. After we hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed for a long time, staring at the wall. The morning light was filtering through the curtains, casting long shadows across the floor. I thought about Claire, about how much I would have given to save her, about how I would have bankrupted myself twice over if it meant one more year with her. But something felt off. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I called my sister Carol, who lived in Phoenix. She was 4 years younger than me, sharp as a tack, with a bullshit detector that could rival any FBI interrogator. Let me get this straight, Carol said after I'd explained the situation. Marcus, who quit his job 8 months ago to find himself, suddenly has stage 4 cancer and needs experimental treatment that costs exactly $175,000. That's what Emily said. Did she send you medical records, hospital documentation, anything in writing? I realized she hadn't. She was too upset. She was crying the whole time. Carol was quiet for a moment. Robert, I saw Marcus 3 weeks ago when I drove through Albuquerque. He looked fine, healthy. Actually, he looked great, like he'd been working out. Cancer doesn't always show physically right away, I said. But even as I said it, I felt doubt creeping in. Look, Carol said gently, I'm not saying Emily is lying, but this feels rushed. Stage 4, diagnosis, experimental treatment. Need money by Friday? That's a lot of pressure to make a massive financial decision. If it were me, I'd want proof before I handed over my life savings. You think I should say no? I think you should ask questions. Real questions. Hospital name, doctor's name, medical records, treatment plan details. If it's legitimate, Emily should be able to provide all of that. No problem. After I hung up with Carol, I sat in my courtyard garden, watching the morning sun climb higher in the cloudless blue sky. My tomato plants needed watering. I should probably trim the rosemary. Normal tasks, routine maintenance, the small rituals that made up my quiet life. But I couldn't stop thinking about Carol's words. If it's legitimate, Emily should be able to provide all of that. I pulled out my phone and called a number I'd saved years ago but never used. Jake Ramirez had been one of my students, back when he was a rebellious junior who spent more time ditching class than attending it. I'd kept him after school one day, not to lecture him, but to ask what was going on at home. Turned out his father had just left, and Jake was angry at the world. I'd helped him channel that anger into academics, into wrestling, into something productive. He'd gone on to graduate, join the army, and eventually become a private investigator in Albuquerque. Mr. Mitchell! Jake's voice was warm, surprised. I can't believe you still have my number. I keep track of my students, I said. Even the ones who tried to set the chemistry lab on fire. He laughed. That was an accident, and you know it. What can I do for you? I explained the situation, trying to keep my voice neutral, objective. Jake listened without interrupting. You want me to verify the story, he said when I finished. I want to know the truth. If Marcus really is sick, if he really needs this treatment, I'll give Emily every penny I have. But if something's off, I'll look into it, Jake said. Give me 48 hours. Those 48 hours felt like the longest of my life. I tried to keep busy working in the garden, organizing my bookshelf, driving out to the hiking trails, but my mind kept circling back to Emily's phone call, to the tears in her voice, to the desperation. Part of me felt guilty for investigating. What kind of father doubts his daughter during a medical crisis? What kind of person hires a private investigator instead of just trusting his family? But another part of me, the part that had spent decades teaching teenagers how to think critically, how to question assumptions, how to verify sources, knew that Carol was right. Something felt off. Jake called me Wednesday evening. "Mr. Mitchell, you need to come to my office tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock. There's something you need to see. Can't you just tell me over the phone? This is better done in person." I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling fan, rotating slowly overhead, running through possibilities. Maybe Jake had found medical records confirming everything. Maybe I was about to feel like the world's worst father for doubting Emily. Or maybe I was about to find out something much worse. Jake's office was in a strip mall in Albuquerque, sandwiched between a nail salon and a tax preparation service. He greeted me at the door, shook my hand, and led me to a small conference room with a table, 4 chairs, and a laptop. "Before I show you this," Jake said carefully, "I want you to know that I verified everything twice. I'm not going off rumors or speculation. These are facts." He opened the laptop and turned it toward me. On the screen was a photograph of Marcus, taken 2 nights ago, according to the timestamp, walking into a casino in Santa Ana Pueblo. He was smiling, wearing a blazer, carrying himself with the easy confidence of someone having a good time. Jake clicked to the next photo. Marcus at a blackjack table, chips stacked in front of him. Another photo. Marcus with his arm around a woman who wasn't Emily, both of them laughing at the bar. "I followed him for 3 days, Jake said quietly. "He goes to the casino every night. Sometimes Santa Ana, sometimes Sandia. He's there from 9 p.m. until 2 or 3 in the morning. He's not sick, Mr. Mitchell. There's no cancer. I checked with every hospital in the state. No Marcus Hoffman has been treated for lymphoma or any other cancer in the past year." I couldn't speak. I just stared at the photographs, feeling something cold and heavy settling in my chest. Jake pulled up another document on the screen. This is his credit report. He's $73,000 in debt, mostly from cash advances and personal loans. Emily probably doesn't know the full extent of it. And this, he clicked to another page, is his bank statement, which I obtained through, let's call it creative means. He's been writing checks that bounce, withdrawing cash, moving money around to cover minimum payments. "He has a gambling problem," I said, my voice flat. "A serious one. And he needs $175,000 to cover his debts before the people he owes come collecting. I'm guessing he convinced Emily that he's sick, maybe even faked some documents. She's probably telling you the truth as she understands it." I thought about Emily's tears, her desperate voice, the way she'd said, "I can't just watch him die." She believed it. She believed her husband was dying. "There's more," Jake said. He pulled up an email thread. I accessed his email account again. Don't ask how. 3 weeks ago, Marcus was corresponding with someone named Trevor Chen about a business opportunity that required significant capital investment. Classic investment scam. I think Marcus was trying to use your money to get in on some scheme that would supposedly double his investment, which he could then use to pay off his gambling debts. I sat back in my chair, feeling older than my 68 years. "What do I do?" Jake closed the laptop. "That's up to you, Mr. Mitchell, but I'd suggest you don't give him a cent. Men like Marcus, they don't stop. If you bail him out now, he'll be back in 6 months asking for more. The casino always wins, and addicts always keep playing." I drove back to Santa Fe in a daze, barely seeing the highway in front of me. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the sun was setting, painting the mountains in shades of gold and crimson that I couldn't appreciate. I sat in my car for a long time, thinking about Claire. What would she have done? She'd always been more forgiving than me, more willing to see the best in people. But she'd also been practical, grounded. She wouldn't have let Marcus destroy our life savings on a lie. That night, I made my decision. The next morning, I called Emily. "I've thought about it," I said, keeping my voice level. "I want to help. Can you and Marcus meet me at First National Bank tomorrow at 10? I need to move some funds around, and it would be easier if we're all there to sign paperwork. Oh, Dad. She was crying again, but this time with relief. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're saving his life. Marcus will be so grateful. I'll see you tomorrow, I said, and hung up. Then I called Jake. I need you to do something for me. The next morning, I arrived at the bank at 9:30. Jake was already there, along with Linda Torres, the bank manager I'd known for 15 years. I'd called her the day before and explained the situation. She'd been shocked, sympathetic, and immediately agreed to help. We set up in her office, me, Jake, Linda, and a small recording device on the desk. At 10 o'clock sharp, Emily and Marcus walked into the bank. Emily looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. Marcus looked healthy. Too healthy. His color was good, his movements confident. He didn't look like a man with 6 months to live. Emily hugged me. Thank you, Dad. You have no idea what this means to us. Marcus shook my hand, his grip firm. Mr. Mitchell, I can't thank you enough. You're giving me my life back. Let's step into the manager's office, I said. We need to handle some paperwork. We walked down the hallway. Emily was chattering nervously about the treatment, about Johns Hopkins, about hope. Marcus was quiet, his eyes scanning the bank. I opened the door to Linda's office. Emily walked in first, then froze. Jake was sitting at the table, a laptop open in front of him. On the wall behind him, Linda had set up a screen displaying one of the casino photographs. Marcus at the blackjack table, chips stacked high, a cocktail in his hand. What is this? Emily's voice was sharp, confused. She looked at me. Dad? Sit down, sweetheart, I said gently. I don't understand. Marcus had gone pale. He was staring at the photograph, his mouth slightly open. That's funny, I said, my voice cold now. You don't look very sick in that picture, Marcus. In fact, you look like you're having a great time. Jake clicked a button. The screen changed to another photograph, then another. Marcus at the casino bar. Marcus with cash in his hand. Marcus laughing with strangers. Emily was looking back and forth between the screen and her husband, her face a mask of confusion. Marcus? What is this? Why are you at a casino? This was taken 3 nights ago, I said, and the night before that, and the night before that. Jake here is a private investigator. I hired him to verify your story about the cancer. There is no cancer, Jake said quietly. No hospital records, no doctor visits, no treatment plan. I checked every facility in New Mexico. Emily's legs seemed to give out. She sat down hard in one of the chairs. That's not possible. Marcus showed me the paperwork, the diagnosis, the treatment options, everything. Did you go to the doctor's appointments with him? I asked. She was silent. Did you actually speak to any doctors yourself? Her face crumpled. He said they had strict privacy policies. He said he wanted to handle it himself. Didn't want me to have to deal with the medical stuff. Marcus finally spoke. This is a misunderstanding. Those photographs are old. I was at the casino months ago, before the diagnosis. Timestamps don't lie, Jake interrupted, and neither does this. He pulled up the bank statements. $73,000 in debt, cash advances, bounced checks, loan payments you can't make. I watched Marcus's face as the truth settled in. He wasn't going to talk his way out of this one. Emily was staring at him with something like horror. You don't have cancer. Baby, listen. You don't have cancer. Her voice was rising. You lied about having cancer. You made me call my father, crying, begging him for money. I was going to pay it back. Marcus's smooth salesman voice was cracking now. I had an investment opportunity, a sure thing. I just needed capital to get in on the ground floor. And then I'd double the money, triple it even. I'd pay your dad back with interest. With my retirement savings? I said. With money I spent 37 years earning? You were going to gamble with it? It wasn't gambling. It was a business opportunity. Show me the business plan, I said. Show me the documentation, the prospectus, the financial projections. Show me anything that proves this wasn't just another scam. Marcus couldn't. He sat there, his jaw working, but no words came out. Emily stood up. She was shaking. I need to leave. I can't be here right now. Sweetheart, I said, reaching for her. She pulled away. Don't. Just don't. She looked at Marcus with pure disgust. I believed you. I called my father, crying, begging for money to save your life. And you were at a casino. She walked out of the office. A moment later, we heard the bank door open and close. Marcus sat there for another moment, then stood up. This is a mistake. You're all making a huge mistake. That investment was legitimate. Get out, I said quietly. Mr. Mitchell, get out of this bank before I have Jake call the police and report fraud. Marcus looked at Jake, who smiled and pulled out his phone. Marcus left without another word. After they were gone, I sat in Linda's office for a long time, feeling hollow. Linda brought me a glass of water. Jake sat across from me, quiet. You okay, Mr. Mitchell? He finally asked. I don't know, I said honestly. I thought I knew my daughter. I thought she had better judgment than this. She loved him, Jake said. Love makes people blind. Does it? I thought about Claire, about the life we'd built together, about trust and partnership. Or does love make people want to believe the best, even when the evidence says otherwise? That afternoon, I drove back to Santa Fe. Emily called me 6 times. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Not yet. The next week, I made a series of phone calls. First to my lawyer, updating my will. If Emily chose to stay with Marcus, I wasn't going to enable that choice with an inheritance. Second, to a real estate agent. My house was worth about $250,000. I didn't need that much space anyway. Third, I called the Sangre de Cristo Community Living Center, an assisted living facility on the east side of town. They had independent living apartments, small, affordable, with a community room and organized activities. Not a nursing home, not quite. More like a retirement community for people who wanted simplicity and companionship. I sold my house within 3 weeks. The buyer was a young couple with a baby, their first home. They loved the courtyard garden. The woman asked me about the tomato plants, and I found myself telling her everything I knew about growing in high desert soil. She took notes on her phone, thanked me 3 times. On my last day in the house, I stood in the empty living room, looking at the patch of sunlight on the hardwood floor where Claire and I used to dance on Saturday mornings to old jazz records. I felt her presence, faint but warm. I hope I'm doing the right thing, I whispered to the empty room. The house didn't answer, but somehow I felt a little lighter. I moved into the apartment at Sangre de Cristo. It was small bedroom, bathroom, kitchenette, sitting area, but it was mine. My windows looked out at the mountains. I met my neighbors, Margaret, who'd been a librarian in Taos, Bill, who'd taught at the community college, Rosa, who'd run a restaurant in Española for 30 years. We played cards on Tuesday nights. We watched old movies on Friday evenings. We went on group trips to the farmer's market, to gallery openings, to the opera. It was, in its own way, exactly what I needed. Emily called me 2 months after the bank incident. I finally answered. Dad. Her voice was subdued. I'm sorry. I should have called sooner. How are you? I asked. I filed for divorce. It's almost final. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry it came to this. I'm not. She laughed, but it was bitter. He was lying about everything. His job, his debts, where he went at night. I was so stupid. You weren't stupid. You trusted someone you loved. That's not the same thing. I put you through hell, she said. I begged you for money to save a man who was at a casino every night. I made you think I valued him over everything you'd worked for. You didn't know, I said. I should have asked more questions. I should have gone to the doctor's appointments. I should have. She trailed off. Mom would have asked questions. Your mother was better at a lot of things than I am, I said. But she would have been proud of you for walking away. Emily was quiet for a moment. Can I come visit you? I'd like to see where you're living. I'd like to start over, if you'll let me. I'd like that too, I said. She came the following weekend. I showed her around the community center, introduced her to my neighbors, made her dinner in my tiny kitchen. We sat on the small patio and watched the sunset together. And for the first time in years, our conversation felt real. Not surface level, not performative. Real. "I'm proud of you, Emily," I said. "Not everyone has the strength to walk away from a marriage." "I learned from the best," she said. "You could have given Marcus the money. You could have enabled him, bailed him out, pretended everything was fine. But you didn't. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone face the consequences of their choices," I said. "Your mother taught me that." Emily reached over and took my hand. "I miss her." "Me too." 6 months after moving to Sangre de Cristo, I got a letter. The return address was Albuquerque, but I didn't recognize the name. I opened it cautiously. Inside was a single sheet of paper, handwritten. "Mr. Mitchell, you don't know me, but I'm writing to thank you. Your daughter Emily works at my company. 6 months ago, she was going through a difficult time. I won't share details, but it was clear she was struggling. Instead of falling apart, she threw herself into her work. She's now our senior marketing director, leading a team of 12 people. She's professional, creative, and one of the hardest workers I've ever met. I asked her recently what changed, what made her so focused. She said her father taught her that you can't control what life throws at you, but you can control how you respond. She said you taught her that sometimes love means setting boundaries. I wanted you to know that whatever you did, it worked. You raised a remarkable woman. Sincerely, Patricia Nguyen, CEO, Altitude Tech Solutions." I read the letter 3 times, sitting in my armchair by the window. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer, next to the photograph of Claire on our wedding day. That evening, I went to the community room for dinner. Bill was complaining about the Mets, as usual. Margaret was trying to convince everyone to join her book club. Rosa was telling a story about her grandson's soccer game, gesturing wildly with her hands. I sat down at the table, accepting a plate of enchiladas from Rosa, and realized something. I was happy, not in spite of what had happened with Emily and Marcus, but maybe, in some strange way, because of it. I'd set a boundary. I'd made a hard choice, and in doing so, I'd given Emily the greatest gift I could, the chance to become the person she was meant to be, not the person Marcus had tried to make her. Sometimes that's all you can do. Sometimes tough love is the only love that matters. And sometimes, when you let go of what you thought your life was supposed to be, you find out it's better than you imagined.